Let me ask you something. Are you drowning in debt but can't seem to make any progress no matter how hard you try? You've probably been told, do the math and pay off your highest interest debt first. But what if I told you that this method statistically is less likely to work? Today, we are flipping conventional wisdom on its head. I'm revealing why the debt snowball, yes, the one Dave Ramsey swears by, is psychologically superior, scientifically backed, and your best chance to actually become debt-free. Ready to break the cycle? Let's go.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control, ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing that we can control, ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smarter financial decisions. If this is the first time you are joining in, don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube to be notified of all the new episodes as they release. If you're listening on Rumble, don't forget to follow the channel and like the video. And on any podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. So today we are going to simplify the complex thing called getting out of debt and help you master your money. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by multiple credit cards, loans, or just the sheer pressure of never-ending payments, well, today's episode is tailor-made for you. We are going to dive into the Debt Snowball Method, a simple, powerful, behavior-based approach to get rid of your debt. And I'm going to show you why it works better for real people in the real world, right? Real people in the real world, just like you, that are experiencing debt. And this is how they get out. So there's two ways that people get out of debt: debt avalanche and debt snowball. But what is the debt snowball? The debt snowball is, simply put, a method where you list all of your debts from smallest to largest, not based on interest rates. None of that matters. Total value of the debt, meaning if you have a $500 and $1,000, the $500 is what you're paying off first, the $1,000 second, right? Not based on anything else, just on total value of the debt. And you focus on paying off the smallest one first while you make minimum payments on everything else. Doesn't mean you ignore everything. It doesn't mean that you're going to go delinquent. It just means you make a minimum payment on all of your debt except for the smallest, and you put as much into that as you can. Now, how it snowballs is that once the smallest debt is paid off, you take what you were paying with it and you roll it into your next smallest debt, right? You take what you were paying, you roll it into the next smallest, and it's like this snowball gaining momentum downhill. So every time a new debt goes away, you're taking that payment and adding it in with the minimum payment that you were already paying on it, and just compounding and compounding and compounding until you have 100% of what you have allocated to pay off debt going to your largest at the very end, right? This method was highly popularized by Dave Ramsey because it is step 2 of his 7 baby steps, but it's more than a gimmick. I guarantee it. It is grounded in behavioral psychology. The reason why it works is because human behavior is emotional. It's not mathematical. It's very hard for someone to get behind a math problem. I know it sounds crazy, but if I put it in front of you and I told you if you will invest $50 a month for the rest of your life, that you would be a millionaire, and interest rates matter and all those things, right? Like initial investment. This isn't an investing episode. Just an example. Please don't blow up the comment section with $50 a month will never get you to be a millionaire. I'm not running the numbers, right? What I'm saying is that if I told you to do a very, very simple thing and you will become a millionaire, that is a math problem, and most people will not do it, right? Most people will not do it. People do not operate around money with common sense. They're very emotional. very emotional. So when it comes to getting out of debt, the reason why the debt snowball works is because it is driven by emotion, not by math. It's driven by the fact that when we see a quick win, like eliminating that first smallest debt, we feel empowered. We feel confident that we can take on the next. That sense of victory builds confidence to take on to the whole get out of debt picture. Harvard Business Review and Kellogg School research confirm people who focus on debt with a approach of small debts first are more likely to completely be debt-free than those using the more rational methods. This is one of the research articles I found. So this is from Northwestern, Kellogg, Northwestern University, and slightly older article, I will say, but the concept still matters, right? The concept still matters that the people that really and truthfully try to get out of debt and utilize the debt snowball approach will increase the likelihood of getting out of debt as it keeps consumers motivated through small victories. That's really the concept here. The concept here in this whole research thing, and I'll share this article, but the concept here found that people with large credit card balances are more likely to pay down their entire debt if they focus on paying off the cards with the smallest balances, even if that approach doesn't make the best economic sense. Why is that? Well, like I stated, money is emotional. It's not mathematical. It really is. Money is emotional. It's not mathematical, right? It truly focuses on the fact that you can get out of debt if you stick to the plan. And what we need is a plan that you will stick to, okay? So super simple, super easy, but they went through, did research, and talked about it, right? And talked about it. So what I want to show you today is a quick comparison of the debt snowball, but more importantly, I want this episode to land in two ways. First, if you've been on the fence about how to get out of debt and you've looked at Debt Snowball and Debt Avalanche, I hope this episode lands with you in a way that says, you know what? I'm done trying to do the math thing. It's not working. I'm going to do this debt snowball and I'm committing to it 100%. That's the first thing that I want you to take away. The second thing is, if you just don't know how, if you've never looked into getting out of debt, you have no idea where to start, I'm going to go through and talk about and give you resources for how you can utilize and leverage the debt snowball in the most easy fashion to get yourself out of debt. And what I can guarantee you, there's not many guarantees in life, but what I can guarantee you is if you will allocate all of the money that you can comfortably and semi-uncomfortably, right? Like, we're getting out of debt. Debt is uncomfortable in and of itself. But if you will commit to put everything that you can to go towards your debt and utilize a plan that's built on the debt snowball, I guarantee you will get out of debt. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. And people will come back and they'll throw in the comment section, well, if I allocate all the money and I use the debt avalanche, I'll get out of debt too. Yes, sure. The problem that happens when you're looking at the two is that most people give up on the avalanche. Something happens. They haven't felt some of those wins, some of those early victories, and some type of life lesson hits you and you feel defeated and you give it up. You give it up. So what I want to do today is I want to show you, first off, how minimal of a difference, if you want to go off interest rates, how minimal of a difference it actually is financially to put you into a higher statistical probability that you will get out of debt, okay? So starting off, the debt avalanche simply, and this is from Investopedia, the debt avalanche prioritizes prioritizes interest rates. They focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, and it saves you money on interest, right? That is its concept. The whole concept of it is to pay less interest over time, because mathematically, if you'll focus on the high interest rate stuff first, you will save money. The debt snowball, on the other hand, focuses on getting you those short wins, prioritizing the balances, meaning prioritizing the lowest balance and going to the highest balance, and building motivation and momentum over time, right? And there's another one that's not up here that also people like to look at, and is debt consolidation, which just involves rolling all of your debts into one new loan with a lower rate and potentially lower rate, and helping you get out of debt by making it more simplistic. I am telling you right now to avoid debt consolidation. What ends up happening is that it doesn't feel as overwhelming, and a lot of times it leads to other new habits of overspending coming into your life. So the best method, the one you actually stick to, is the best, is truly the best method. But the debt snowball makes that statistically more likely that you will stick to it. And that's why I want you to focus on it. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is an example, right? And it's just a quick example, but it's a great example to prove to you that, let me zoom this out so you can see. It's just a great example to prove to you that it's very minimal that the Avalanche saves you. So let's imagine we have these 4 credit cards. We have a $500 balance, a $1,000 balance, a $6,000 balance, and a $15,000 balance. This is probably pretty standard. Like, this is probably a pretty standard debt profile right here, right? Now, here's how this rolls. This is how this works. If you were going to, so remember, 500,000, 6,000, 15,000. This is built for the debt snowball. In order, you would pay card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, because the interest rates, the balances are building, right? They're building. They're going up. They're starting at 500,000, 6,000, 15,000. Now, if you were going to do this with the debt Avalanche, you would start at your highest interest rate, meaning you'd go 24%, you would go to 16%, you would go to 15%, and then you go to 12%. That's the order you paid off. So 3, 4, 2, 1. Right? Now, the idea, going back to the debt snowball, is that you pay off card 1, and then you take everything that you were putting into card 1, the extra stuff you had plus the minimum, and you roll it in to pay off card 2. Then you take all of that plus what you were paying for card 2 as a minimum payment and roll it into card 3, right? That's how that whole thing works. And I'm going to give you a better breakdown momentarily, but this is an actual rollout of what that ends up looking like. Debt snowball versus debt avalanche. So if you had $22,500 in debt, you had $565 a month to go towards debt. This is kind of just an example, right? You have to know what minimum payments are. You have to know a few other items here to really kind of get the numbers here. But if that's what you had, and this is just kind of estimated out, but payoff order for snowball would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, 3, 4, 2, 1 for avalanche. It would take you 1 month longer to get out of debt, and it would cost you about $600 more over that lifetime, right? $600 more is what you would be paying off. First debt would be paid off in 1 month. 1 month, you already have one debt gone if you're using the debt snowball. That's that short-term victory. That's that win. That's that like, wow, I'm making progress. If you did this same concept with the debt avalanche, your first debt, that $11,000, that $6,000 credit card would not be paid off until the 11th month, meaning you've got to work for almost a full year before you make the first progress move. The first little feeling of like, I'm making progress happens at month 11. That's why people give up. That's why people give up. And that's why using the debt snowball statistically puts you in a higher likelihood of getting out of debt. It does. Puts you in a higher likelihood of getting out of debt. What people get hung up on more times than not is how to save money, and debt avalanche in that example, saves you $600, right? It does. It truthfully does. It saves you $600. Now, the problem with that is that if you gave up at month 5, you're going to spend way more than $600 because of the simple fact that you're still going to be paying for it for who knows how long, right? Who knows how long you're going to be paying for it. So that's where I tell people, please go ahead and set up a debt snowball plan and begin to pay it off. Begin to pay it off. That's what I would do. So how do you do it? How do you do it? What is the plan? What are we talking about? So the first step, so I'm going to break it down to 5 steps for you. The first step is list all of your debts from smallest to largest, right? Ignore the interest rates. They don't matter for the plan. List all of your debts from smallest to largest. Step 1 done. Step 2, determine what your minimum payments are for all of your accounts and pay the minimum on all of them except for the smallest. The smallest, you're going to pay the minimum plus every extra dollar you can throw at debt every month. That's step 2. Step 3, when your smallest debt is gone, roll its payment into the next smallest, right? So now you're on debt 2 if debt 1's gone. When debt 2's gone, roll everything you were paying into debt 2 into debt 3, right? Plus what you were paying in debt 3 already, right? Celebrate those small wins is step 4. And step 5 is keep going until all of your debt is gone, right? That is all it takes. That's truthfully all it takes. And if you can do those 5 steps, you will be debt free. And statistically, you will be debt free faster than the debt avalanche people because most of them probably gave up, right? So the common mistake that people run into when we're thinking about debt avalanche, debt snowball, just getting out of debt period is they give up. They give up too soon. The first 2 or 3 months feel slow, feel real slow. Unless you have like a small debt, the first 2 or 3 months feel really, really slow, but you got to stick with it. The other thing that people have as a common pitfall is that they add on debt while they're using the debt snowball. You've got to stop the bleeding, right? So you can't keep using the cards you're trying to pay off. Stop using the cards you're trying to pay off and get them paid off. So cut up the cards if you have to, cancel the accounts. I don't care. Listen, if you're worried about credit score while you're in debt, please stop. Worry about the important stuff, and that's getting out of debt. Your credit score will follow and be in great shape whenever all that's gone. So please stop worrying about credit scores and all that other stuff while you're in debt. Okay. It's really not a big deal. I promise. Like, financial scores are a reflection of your financial habits, and show some good financial habits and you will have a good financial score. Let's just say, right? Now, stick to it. Determine your plan. Don't bite off more than you can chew, right? I tell people that all the time. If it feels like it's a stretch to pay $500 extra a month towards your debt, maybe 200 is all you should be working with, right? But just update your plan to show that so you have a realistic plan. Okay? Realistic plans is really what it's about. So debt freedom is not a dream. It truthfully is just a formula where you build your plan and you execute. It's not this like, man, I wish I was debt free. Like, then do it. It really is not, I would tell you it's really not hard in terms of the physical actions that it takes. What's hard is you have to give up a lot. You've got to give up a lot, especially if you want to get out of debt fast, right? But the snowball method may not be the most mathematical, economic friendly way to get out of debt. But what it is the most powerful psychologically, right? So I hope this episode hits home for you. I hope that this will give you a little more insight into what it takes to get out of debt. Because from the website, it's debt.org, and they've got good resources, but debt.org, it talks about how this Boston University professor studied 6,000 credit card holders and fully supports the snowball method and its effectiveness. He stated, our research shows that consumers will get out of debt quicker, paying down accounts one at a time, starting with the smallest. Allocating the most money to the smallest account was particularly effective. Doing so increased consumers' motivation to repay debt in the next period and increased progress toward the goal of becoming debt-free, right? So I'm telling you, it's not that it's hard, it's that it takes time, and it does take time. So if you'll put in the time, if you'll commit to the plan, if you'll focus on those small steps, paying a little bit at a time, if you're in debt right now, you will not be in debt forever. You will get out of debt, and you will make progress very, very fast. And what I will tell you is, if you've never listened to some of the stories on Dave Ramsey's radio show, where people call in or people come to the studio there in Tennessee and do their debt-free screams, it's kind of corny. I'm not going to lie. Like the whole, like, we're debt-free screaming, like, it's kind of corny, but listen to it for their story. Listen to the struggle that they went through to get out of debt. I'm not talking about the struggle they went into to get into debt. That's easy. Getting into debt is easy. It's getting out. It's the grind. It's the quantities of debt that people have paid off, that with salaries that are very reasonable and comparable to probably what you're making. So if you're struggling, if you're feeling defeated already, if you're feeling like that it just seems impossible, go listen to an episode or two of those debt-free screams. Listen to the salaries that people have paid off, the quantity that they have paid off with those salaries, and you will shock yourself at how doable your situation is. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. Hopefully it gave you the next step you need to be debt-free, and I challenge you, go out, set your plan, and become debt-free. So leave a comment below with your first snowball target. What is that target you're heading for? And if you put your plan together, how many months is it about to take you to be debt-free? Can't wait to read them. Till next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.